Title, Final Position. Genre, insane horror/comedy/slasher. Opening scene. Fade in. A dimly lit porn studio. Neon lights flash, fog machines spew mist, and a camera rolls. We hear exaggerated moans like, "Way too much enthusiasm." A porno is mid-production cheap set, bad acting, and a boom mic hanging in the shot. A director, Ronnie Big Shot de Lucas, a greasy, cigar-chomping man in his 50s, leans back in his chair, cackling with delight as he yells directions. "Ronnie, alright, Candy, baby, moan like you just found a winning lottery ticket. More passion. More." Before he can finish, the fog thickens unnaturally. A figure in a black gimp mask emerges from the mist, clutching a gleaming chainsaw with a dildo handle. The actors, mid-act, freeze. The lead male star, Jimmy Rocket Rogers, sits up, puzzled. "Jimmy, is this, like, a fetish scene?" The killer revs the chainsaw. Jimmy's head spins off his neck like a corkscrew, geysering blood, and drenching Candy Vixen, the film's leading lady. His infamous 14-inch asset is hacked off, shoved down the throat of the nearest horrified crew member, who chokes to death in a grotesque mix of blood, lube, and regret. Candy screams as the killer turns to her, pulls out a blood-soaked butt plug grenade, and lobs it at the camera. Cut to black. Title card, Final Position, dripping in blood and questionable fluids. Next scene, the second massacre. A lavish all-male porn set. A gay orgy scene is being filmed in a neon-lit mansion. The actors, ripped, oiled, and performing enthusiastically, are oblivious to the shadow moving in the background. One of the stars, Brad the Tank Titus, smirks at the camera, flexing. "Brad, let's give Em a climax they'll never forget." From the darkness, the masked killer lunges, wielding two double-ended dildos like nunchucks. He decapitates Brad in one fluid motion, sending his head rolling across the floor like a misplaced bowling ball. Panic erupts as the killer brandishes a giant vibrating anal bead chain, strangling two actors at once as the beads pulse erratically. The director tries to flee, but he slips on a pool of lube, crashing into a shelf of custom-made, spike-rigged sex toys impaled instantly. The final victim of this scene, a famous gay porn star named Dante Diamond, grabs a massive prop phallus in self-defense. "Dante, I don't go down easy, bitch." The killer loads a cock pump with pressurized gas, fires it at Dante, and the poor man's head explodes like a water balloon. The entire studio is left a blood-drenched nightmare as the killer vanishes into the shadows. Next scene, Granny Gets It. A bizarre fetish porn shoot is underway in an outdated 70s-themed home. The scene. Older women seducing younger men. The MILFs and GILFs are dressed in lingerie, sipping wine, and giggling as the cameras roll. The legendary Grandma Gina, a retired porn queen making a comeback, winks at her young co-star, Trevor Studwell. "Grandma Gina, hope you can keep up, sweetheart." The killer crashes through the set riding a motorized Sibian, wielding a boomerang made of razor-sharp cock rings. It flies through the air, slicing through throats, turning the scene into a bloody geriatric nightmare. One unlucky male performer gets his own prosthetic-looking enhancement ripped off and force-fed to him until he suffocates. The camera operator tries to flee but slips in a pool of something wet and crashes into a set piece shaped like a giant wedding cake bed, knocking himself unconscious. The final victim, Grandma Gina, wields a giant vibrating Hitachi wand like a sword, dueling with the killer until she is impaled on a flesh-colored strap-on attached to a mannequin. The killer laughs maniacally, grabs a discarded bottle of lube, and writes on the wall, "Every position is the final position." Plot overview. A masked serial killer is hunting down adult film stars mid-scene, leaving behind insane crime scenes that look like Quentin Tarantino directed a snuff film. Our final girl, Candy Vixen, real name, Karen Jenkins, a smart, sarcastic porn star who wants out. She's got dreams of being a real actress like in Hallmark movies, not just stepmom scenarios. But first, she has to survive the horniest killer in history. The killer's MO. Attacks only on active porn shoots. Leaves cryptic messages written in lube and bodily fluids. It's as nasty as it sounds. Wears a latex gimp mask with a zipper mouth, but the zipper screams when unzipped. Weapon of choice, a chainsaw dildo hybrid, but he improvises with props. Supporting cast. Ronnie Big Shot DeLucas, the scummy director who refuses to shut down production even after multiple deaths. This is still salvageable. We'll sell it as a horror porno. Bambi Bliss, Candy's best friend and fellow star, a conspiracy theorist who believes the murders are part of a government plot to destroy the adult industry. Detective Frank McGraw, a washed-up cop addicted to porn, reluctantly investigating the case while constantly trying, and failing, to maintain professionalism. Danny Douchebag, the muscle-bound porn star who treats every life-or-death situation like an audition for the Fast and the Furious. Johnny Jackhammer, a ridiculously well-endowed male star who treats his performances like Oscar-worthy roles. His bravado makes him an instant target. Climax, Candy sets a trap at the porn industry's biggest live-streamed awards show, the Golden Dongs. As the killer makes his move, she turns the tables, leading to an all-out bloodbath. Half-naked stars flee in terror. A butt plug catapult is used as a weapon. Awards are used as blunt force weapons. Platinum Peter fights the killer in a slow-motion battle set to Careless Whisper. Candy unmasks the killer in front of the stunned audience. Final scene, as Candy finally escapes the madness, she receives a mysterious phone call. Distorted voice, on phone, "Did you really think it was over?" She slowly turns to the camera. Cut to black. Post-credits scene, a shadowy figure sharpens a katana made of fused sex toys, setting up the inevitable sequel. Next scene, the most insane shoot yet. A ridiculous adult film set, themed like a medieval castle. The director, Terry Biscuits, a former infomercial star turned sleazeball, yells at his exhausted crew. Terry Biscuits. Clapping hands. All right, people. I want passion. I want energy. I want weight. Where's my fog machine? A knight in very historically inaccurate armor, a performer named Dick Lancelot, flexes, brandishing a prop sword. His co-star, Misty Delight, rolls her eyes as she pretends to be a distressed princess. Just as they get into position, the fog machine suddenly explodes in a massive burst of mist, except this fog isn't normal. It's thick, sticky, and smells vaguely of coconut oil and regret. From within the haze, a shadowy figure clanks forward wearing a full gimp suit plated like medieval armor. The killer has arrived. Dick Lancelot, still in character. Hark! Who dares interrupt the sacred art of? Before he can finish, the killer brandishes a flaming sword made entirely of melted down metal cock rings and slices him in half vertically. His ribcage bursts open like a horror movie piñata, showering the set in blood. Misty screams, slipping in the mess, as the killer turns his attention to the rest of the cast. The boom mic guy tries to run but trips over an industrial-sized barrel of lube, knocking it over. He is swept away in a flood of slippery disaster, screaming as he disappears into the abyss. The director panics and tries to bargain. Terry Biscuits, sweating profusely. "Look, buddy, let's talk deals. How about an exclusive streaming special? Murderflix is gonna love this." The killer responds by grabbing an antique iron chastity belt, slamming it onto Terry's head like a medieval torture device, and snapping it shut, crushing his skull like a walnut. The camera operator, still rolling, captures every second. As the lens zooms in on the carnage, the killer grabs a prop scroll, dips his fingers in blood, and scrawls a message. The final position is always fatal, escalating the chaos. With each kill, the legend of the porn slasher spreads. Social media erupts with hashtags like #ClimaxOfDeath and #DeepCutKills, fueling the fear. Meanwhile, final girl Candy Vixen is on the run, trying to piece together who the killer is before she's next. The industry, being the industry, refuses to shut down. In fact, the producers double down, marketing the next film shoot as a live event, calling it the Death F** Festival, a 24-hour orgy of blood and lust. And, of course, the killer will be there. Building to the climax, pun intended. A high-speed chase involving a stolen Pornhub party bus, a police blockade, and a desperate escape on a giant inflatable banana. A death trap orgy, where beds rigged with spring-loaded bear traps turn into instant meat grinders. A villain monologue where the killer explains their absurd, convoluted backstory only to get cut off mid-rant by an explosion. A final battle involving a platinum-plated strap-on used as a sword in a gladiator-style showdown. Final scene. Candy finally unmasking the killer, only for the real mastermind to be watching from the shadows. A distorted voice on a radio whispers ominously. "Did you think this was just about revenge? No, my dear, this is only the beginning. We are the final cut." Cut to black. Sequel hook, final position 2, even deeper. Fade in. Int. Abandoned sex dungeon, night. A derelict underground BDSM club, long since condemned, but still littered with the remnants of its former depravity: rusted cages, cracked whips, and mannequins wearing cracked leather masks. The air is thick with dust, and the flickering neon sign above the stage reads, "Final Showdown." A lone figure, clad in a tattered latex bodysuit, stands in the center. Candy Vixen, real name, Karen Jenkins, battered but alive, grips a baseball bat wrapped in studded cock rings. Her eyes burn with revenge. A raspy laugh echoes from the darkness. Distorted voice: "You survived, but you'll never escape." From the shadows, the masked killer emerges. Only now, he's not alone. A horde of leather-clad disciples, all wearing gimp masks with stitched-shut mouths, surround Candy. Each wields a grotesque weapon: dildo maces, spike-studded strap-ons, and whips made of braided condoms. "Candy, oh, you've got to be kidding me." She cracks her neck. It's time for one last fight. Title card, Final Position 2, even deeper, dripping in blood and fluids, best left unspecified. Next scene, the slaughter continues. Int. Live sex chem studio, night. The internet's filthiest chem site is in full swing. Dozens of models performing live on different sets, their audiences numbering in the millions. Unbeknownst to them, a silent figure weaves through the chaos. A well-known chem couple, Rico Ramrod and Lexi Luscious, are mid-performance when they hear a strange buzzing noise. They pause. "Rico, that better not be another vibrator, babe. We maxed out the power grid last time." The buzzing grows louder. Then, the wall explodes as the masked killer crashes through on a sex swing, wielding a chainsaw with attached anal beads. Screams. Chaos. The massacre begins. Rico tries to fight back with a suction cup dildo sword, but it's knocked aside. The killer revs the chainsaw, flinging anal beads with such force that they rip through bodies like bullets. Meanwhile, Lexi crawls toward the camera, gasping. "Lexi, to the live stream, call the police." Her head is yanked back, slashed clean off. The chat explodes with emojis. Next scene, the return of Grandma Gina. Int. Geriatric Swingers Club, night. A darkly lit bar, where senior citizens engage in activities that would make a priest faint. Grandma Gina, somehow still alive despite last movie's events, clutches a martini in one hand and a taser in the other. "Grandma Gina, I got unfinished business, baby." As if on cue, the front doors burst open. The masked killer enters, holding a flamethrower made from repurposed lube dispensers. The old folks scream as Gina leaps over the bar and fires her taser directly at the killer's crotch. Sparks. Smoke. The gimp mask contorts in pain. "Grandma Gina, hurts, don't it?" She doesn't wait for a response. She dives at him, launching a brutal hand-to-hand battle filled with eye gouging, cane justing, and one unfortunate misuse of a colostomy bag. The twist. Candy, Grandma Gina, and the few survivors piece together the truth. This isn't just some lone psychopath. It's a cult. A secret society known as the Order of the Final Position, dedicated to eradicating the adult industry in the most grotesque ways possible. And the worst part? Detective Frank McGraw, the one cop who seemed to care, has been working with them all along. "Candy, you pervy son of a bitch." McGraw, "Oh, sweetheart. You have no idea how deep this goes." Cue a fight sequence inside a room filled with secret sex tapes used for blackmail. Candy battles McGraw while the remaining disciples chase Grandma Gina through a corridor of sentient, AI-powered sex dolls. The finale, Orgy of Blood. Int. Porn Industry Awards Show, night. Just like last time, it all ends at the Golden Dongs, but this time, the entire building is rigged to explode. The cult is planning to purge the industry in one final, horrific bloodbath. Candy, now wielding a sharpened Porn Lifetime Achievement Award as a weapon, leads the charge. A slow-motion battle sequence set to Let's Get It On. A boom mic is used to impale a cultist. A stripper pole snaps in half and is used as a javelin. The butt plug catapult returns. Grandma Gina, in her final act of heroism, bites a cultist's ear off and spits it into his eye. The building explodes just as Candy and the survivors make it out. She lights a cigarette and watches the flames consume the last of the cult. Or so she thinks. Post-credits scene. A shadowy figure walks through the ruins, picking up the blood-stained gimp mask. They slip it on and slowly turn to the camera. Distorted voice: "You still don't get it, do you?" Cut to black. Text on screen, Final Position 3, Deepest Thrust. Fade in. Int. Abandoned XXX theater, night. A decayed, neon flickering porn theater from the 70s. Moldy seats, sticky floors, for too many reasons, and a single reel projector playing an old school stag film. A shadow moves in the projection booth. A figure, clad in a red latex gimp suit, looms over the old, dusty equipment. A trembling hand loads a fresh film reel titled, Final Position 3, Deepest Thrust. The reel rolls, and on screen, a POV shot of a victim screaming before a chainsaw dildo hybrid comes crashing down. Smash cut to black. Title card, Final Position 3, Deepest Thrust, dripping in blood, lube, and bad decisions. Scene 1, Orgy of Death. Int. Underground Swingers Club, night. A private, invite-only fuckfest is in full swing. LED lights pulsate. Bodies writhe in a neon haze. A masked dominatrix, Madam Pain, cracks a whip while two muscled men in pup masks crawl at her feet. In the midst of this depravity, a man in a silver mask steps forward. Candy Vixen, now retired from porn, but still stuck in the nightmare, is here, undercover, tracking the new killer. Candy, whispering to herself, whoever he is, he's already here. Before she can react, the club's music distorts. The lights flicker. Then, a chainsaw whirs. A metal-studded phallic flail swings through the air, decapitating a moaning couple mid-thrust. Blood sprays across the orgy like a fucked-up Jackson Pollock painting. Madam Pain cracks her whip at the masked killer. He catches it mid-air and yanks her forward, impaling her onto a spiked dildo throne. The guests panic, slipping in a mix of fluids as the killer lunges, wielding a modified dildo. The screen fills with blood and thrusting. Scene 2, the return of Detective Frank McGraw. Int. Police station, night. Detective Frank McGraw, disgraced, shrunk, and deeply inappropriate, watches porn on his office TV. He slams his flask down. McGraw, this ain't just murder. This is a goddamn performance art piece. His partner, Detective Lisa Valentine, a no-nonsense cop who hates working with McGraw, gags at the crime scene photos. Valentine, Jesus Christ, McGraw. Why do all your cases smell like lube and despair? McGraw, because the world's a fucking porn set, sweetheart. And someone's yellin' cut in all the wrong places. They exchange a glance. This case is going to be worse than the last. Scene 3, Backdoor Slaughterhouse. Int. Secret porn dungeon, night. A makeshift BDSM dungeon, hidden beneath a mansion. A group of OnlyFans stars film content when suddenly, the power cuts out. Night vision POV, the green-tinted view captures whimpers. Chains rattle. Then a fist clutching a spiked anal bead chain yanks a performer into the darkness. A flesh-colored crossbow, shooting dildo bolts, fires, impaling another victim against a St. Andrew's cross. A camera flickers on a recording of the masked killer playing back the murders in real time. A handprint in blood smeared on the camera lens reads, "The Final Position, is Death." Scene 4, Candy vs. the Killer. Int. Abandoned XXX theater, night. Candy Vixen, now armed, stands center stage. The masked killer emerges from the projection booth, chainsaw revving. Candy, I don't do sequels, motherfucker. They charge at each other. The final battle unfolds through the theater's massive projection screen, their fight mirroring a grainy 70s stag film playing in the background. Blood, sweat, and artificial lubricants fly. Candy finally unmasks the killer. It's Ronnie Big Shot DeLucas, the scummy porn director from the first massacre, somehow alive. DeLucas, you can't kill the industry, baby. You can't kill me. Candy shoves a flaming strap-on grenade down his throat and dropkicks him into the projector. A giant explosion of neon pink flames engulfs the theater as Candy limps out, covered in blood and lube. Final scene, a twisted tease. Candy makes it outside. Sirens wail. McGraw smokes a cigarette. McGraw, you done with this shit, kid? Candy Vixen looks at the wreckage. Candy, I fucking hope so. She walks away. But in the smoldering wreckage, among the burning reels of film, a new hand, clad in a black latex glove, reaches out of the rubble. A distorted, glitched voice echoes from the flames. The deepest thrust, is yet to come. Cut to black. Post-credits scene. A brief, grainy security cam feed shows a porn convention. The feed distorts. Then, a faint figure moves through the crowd. Static. Then, the words. Final Position 4, Blood orgasm. Fade in. Int. High-end porn mansion, night. A decadent, gold-trimmed Hollywood Hills mansion. This is the set of Billionaire Bangfest 9. The cameras roll as the biggest names in the industry perform on lavish satin sheets, bathed in soft candlelight. Front and center is Jason Miller, a legendary 48-year-old gay top, sculpted like a Greek god, delivering the performance of a lifetime. The crew watches in awe. This is art. Suddenly, the power cuts. Total darkness. A low, wet zipper unfastens. Heavy breathing. A figure in black leather emerges from the shadows, wielding a whip made of steel-linked anal beads. Screams. Jason barely rolls off the bed as the whip cracks, slicing through a cameraman's throat. Blood sprays over the set. Chaos erupts. The killer lunges at Jason. Jason grabs the nearest weapon, a gold-plated dildo the size of a baseball bat. He swings it like a pro, knocking the masked man back. Jason, oh, bitch, you picked the wrong top to mess with. The killer vanishes into the darkness, leaving behind a message smeared on the white silk sheets. Final position, blood orgasm. The plot. The masked killer has returned, deadlier than ever. This time, the bloodbath spreads to high-end productions, targeting the industry's biggest stars at the most prestigious and exclusive porn events. Jason Miller, still reeling from the attack, teams up with final girl Candy Vixen to stop the blood-soaked rampage before the industry collapses entirely. The killer's evolution. Wears a sleek black gimp suit with a transparent latex mask, revealing only a grinning, blood-streaked mouth. Weapons include a retractable strap-on blade, spiked nipple clamps used as throwing stars, and a cockring garrote. Leaves behind crime scenes staged like twisted versions of famous porno covers. The killer's new targets. 1 Sir Maximus Rex, a retired straight porn king trying to make a comeback with the weirdest fetish film yet. Dies via an electrified butt plug bomb. 2 Lucy Lavish, the reigning queen of OnlyFans, whose death is live-streamed to thousands when the killer hijacks her VR cam session. 3 Dick Diesel, a hyper-macho porn legend, crushed under an AVN trophy, after being forced to reenact his worst-rated scene. 4 Jason Miller, the final target, but he's not going down without a fight. The bloody climax. The Golden Dongs Awards ceremony. Jason and Candy lay a trap, using the industry's horniest, most narcissistic stars as bait. The killer arrives, unleashing mayhem. A blow-up doll rigged with C4 explodes mid-orgy. A high-speed chase through the backstage prop room, dodging projectile dildos. The killer impales a director on an oversized Oscar-shaped award. Jason and Candy battle the killer in a blood-drenched jacuzzi, using floating vibrators as weapons. The final showdown, Jason rips off the killer's mask, revealing the shocking truth. Cut to black. Post-credits scene. A shadowy figure watches old VHS porn tapes, breathing heavily. A pair of bloodied hands clutch a rusted film reel marked Final Position 5, Eternal Pleasure. Text on screen, to be continued. Fade in. Int. Abandoned Hollywood studio, night. The ruins of an old adult film studio, cobwebbed and forgotten. Dust-covered reels of vintage smut line the shelves. A projector flickers to life, playing a grainy, long-lost porno. But something is wrong. The moans turn to screams. On the screen, a 1970s porn legend is butchered mid-scene by a shadowy figure. Blood splatters onto the reel itself. A distorted voice whispers from the projector. Distorted voice, the final position, is eternal. Suddenly, the screen rips open from behind. A figure in a blood-soaked latex mask emerges, wielding a rusted film reel like a deadly saw. Smash to black. Text on screen, Final Position 5, Eternal Pleasure. The plot. The killer has transcended time. Jason Miller, now a seasoned industry veteran, has tried to leave the horror behind. But when lost footage from a notorious 1970s underground porno resurfaces, those who watch it meet unspeakable deaths. As actors and directors fall victim to the masked maniac's latest rampage, Jason and final girl Candy Vixen must uncover the origins of the cursed film reel before the entire industry is wiped out. The killer's new twist. VHS head traps, victims are forced to relive their worst performances before meeting a gruesome fate. Projector shadow kills, the killer emerges directly from the screen, slicing through reality itself. The final cut room, a secret editing suite where victims are re-edited in real time, their bodies distorted like bad special effects. Insane death scenes. One Jack Steele, a smug retro porn historian, gets strangled by film reels while his own AI-generated deepfake replaces him online. 2 Tina Tingle, a bubbly cam girl, dies when her ring light turns into a laser guillotine midstream. 3 Dante Dominus, an over-the-top erotic thriller director, meets his end when he's forced into an infinity loop of his own sex scene played forward and in reverse until his body literally tears apart. 4 Jason Miller, the killer's ultimate target unless he can rewrite the ending himself. The Bloody Climax. A desecrated porn archive, deep beneath Hollywood. A secret vault where the darkest, most depraved lost films are stored. Jason and Candy descend into the vault, only to find themselves trapped in an endless corridor of screens, each one replaying a different timeline where they die in a new, twisted way. Jason realizes the truth: the killer is the film itself. In a desperate gamble, Jason performs one last, legendary scene, improvising a climax so intense, it overloads the cursed footage, causing the entire vault to implode in a cinematic orgasm of fire, film strips, and blood. Final scene. Jason and Candy emerge from the wreckage. The nightmare is over. Or is it? As they walk away, a pile of film reels slowly shifts. One reel, still intact, begins to play on a cracked monitor. On screen, a shadowy figure watches from a dark room, editing the next chapter. Text on screen: Final position 6, the last frame. Fade to black. Fade in. Int. Abandoned film archive, night. Dusty reels of forgotten pornos line the towering shelves. The air is thick with decay and old celluloid. A lone projector flickers, playing a grainy, cursed sex tape that no one remembers filming. Jason Miller, now weary but still defiant, watches the footage. His own younger self stares back at him from the screen smiling. Then, the image distorts. The younger Jason turns to face the camera directly, lips moving, whispering something Jason can't hear. The reel suddenly burns up. Behind Jason, a shadow moves. The final killer has returned. The plot. The massacre at the Golden Dongs Awards left the adult industry shattered. Survivors fled underground. But the terror isn't over. A new, unseen force is hunting the last remaining legends of the industry, erasing them one by one literally. When they die, all traces of their films, careers, and existence disappear, as if they were never real. Jason Miller and Candy Vixen, the only 2 still standing, receive cryptic messages: the final frame is yours. The clues lead them to an abandoned archive, a vault of lost and forbidden adult films, where the truth behind the killings is buried in celluloid and blood. The final killer. A faceless nightmare, a creature made of film stock, its body a constantly shifting collage of pornographic images. Its eyes are 2 burning projector lenses. When it touches its victims, they flicker, glitch, and vanish from reality. Kill count. 1 Blaze Bronson, legendary bisexual performer, swallowed into a screen playing his own sex scene, screaming as his body is projected onto a burning reel. 2 Bunny Star, suffocated inside an airtight film canister, her final gasps recorded and replayed on loop. 3 Tommy Thunder, de-aged into a 16-bit porn game sprite, then erased with 1 keystroke. 4 Candy Vixen, her entire existence unravels, each frame of her life spliced into a cursed film, leaving Jason alone. The final showdown. Jason, now the last survivor, battles the entity in a surreal nightmare where film reels unravel, sets morph into grotesque sex dungeons, and every movement plays like a distorted VHS tape. The killer's voice echoes from the static. Final killer, you were never real, Jason. Just another frame in someone else's fantasy. Jason, bleeding, weak, but still a fighter, grabs the one weapon left, a gold-plated strap-on blade. Jason, then let me end the scene. He plunges it into the entity's chest. A blinding white flash. The entire archive burns, film reels igniting in an inferno of lost memories. Jason staggers, victorious. Until he looks down. His hands are fading. Jason gasps, realizing the truth. His whole life was just a film. A role. A scene scripted by something far beyond him. He looks into a nearby mirror, but his reflection is already gone. Jason Miller lets out one final, defiant laugh. And then, he blinks out of existence. Fade to black. Post-credits scene. A new screen glows. An unknown figure watches an old, corrupted file labeled Final Position, Rebirth. The screen glitches. A hand reaches through the stack.